Our Alumni Achievement Award is presented to a graduate or a friend of the Bellisario College whose significant contributions to the college and or the university in terms of time and talent have brought distinction to themselves, the college, and the university. Diane Salvatore is part of the class of 1981 and has long been a national leader in magazine journalism. She's currently the editor-in-chief of Consumer Reports magazine and has served in the same capacity at 3 other major publications: Prevention, Ladies Home Journal, and YM. Her Penn State service includes returning to campus for a week-long stint as a visiting professional, and she serves as a mentor to students and alumni. In an interview for the college's website, she's quoted as saying, "If you want to continue to evolve in your career, remember that being a student of new things is a lifelong endeavor. It doesn't or shouldn't stop once you leave the college classroom for the last time." Well, we're glad to see you back in a few college classrooms today to share this message in person, and it's my honor to welcome to the podium 2019 Alumni Achievement Award winner Diane Salvatore.
I'm really thrilled to be here today. It's really terrific. I want to thank the whole alumni board and awards team. So many people here today, and Bianca and Pam and Natalie and the 2 Rons and Mike Foreman and Connor and on and on. Everyone who helped to coordinate my trip here, which I really appreciate, especially since I'm geographically challenged. So thank you for all the guide rails. And of course to Dean Harden for this very special honor in this program itself. It was completely unexpected and completely delightful to be invited and to spend some time here. I also want to congratulate my fellow nominees and awardees, Andrew and Lynn, who I had the pleasure of getting to spend some time with this trip, so I hope those will be connections we can continue. And I also really want to thank the faculty in communications here at Penn State, including Pam Monk, who has me in a couple of her classes today and who I've been doing some virtual classes for. You know, my niece just became a junior high school teacher just this very fall. And so I have my closest up front view of the fact, you know, that teachers don't always get to see the seeds that they plant sprout before their eyes. So I want to give a shout out to teachers of all kinds at all levels for being perhaps the most patient professionals that I can think of. As mentioned, I graduated from Penn State in 1981, and I'm chagrined to report that my Penn State ring now only fits on my pinky. So things have changed. And as many of you know, Penn State campus was different then, and in fact, the world was quite different then. But I still remember vividly my first trip here. In fact, my parents and my brother all boarded a bus from New York in the pitch black, and it was a 7-hour bus trip because the roads were not what they are now. And I ran excitedly from journalism building to journalism building, sort of envisioning the new life that I was going to have. And it was exciting for a lot of reasons, because I was not only the first in my family to graduate from college, I was certainly the first who ever went away to school. And to my mother, you know, Penn State and State College might as well have been Dubai for all she was concerned. You know, I picked Penn State because it had such a robust journalism curriculum, and I was really right about that, and I valued that every single day of my career. My first love as a child was to write, and one of the things that Penn State did was helping that young person see that you could take a desire to write and actually organize it into a professional career that would sustain you over a lifetime. And so I hope that that's a choice that a lot of the students that we're seeing this today will experience, and how that can really be a game changer. Also, I was coming from, you know, the big city, which was New York, to a town where some of the students on main campus actually had not ever been on a city bus before they came to the main campus. So there was a lot of sort of cultural awakening that happened for me and for them, and I think that that was one of the great things about going away to school. So I always try to encourage the young people in my life to make sure that that's an experience that they can have when they're choosing a college. But certainly that cultural difference made some of my experiences here as an undergraduate challenging, particularly reporting on the town hall meetings, which were downright mystifying to me. We were just talking about that at lunch. And Tom Berner, who was one of my professors at the time, recognized and duly reflected that sense of mystery that I had in my early reporting grades. So to students, I would say, embrace your toughest grading professors because they're the ones who'll teach you what you really need to learn. I moved into second floor Runkle in North Falls and somehow got lucky enough to become a columnist for the Collegian. I rushed a sorority undercover. I did stories questioning why there were relatively few female professors in journalism at the time. And these were really formative experiences, so I think the students at Penn State really had a chance to start their career here, which is important. In my career, and I've been an editor-in-chief 4 times, with audiences that number in the many millions, it's a privilege and a responsibility to be able to illuminate for readers issues that are important and ultimately to influence them, because that is what journalism ultimately does. But to do so well and responsibly, you need to be a number of things: disciplined, accurate, fair, thorough, thoughtful, humble, courageous, curious, and I personally think it helps to be impassioned. And not just about your career, but the world in which you live. And Penn State does teach all these things. You may not find those exact words in the course curriculum, but I think that any institution, and Penn State's one of them, that takes journalism seriously ends up teaching those important character skills. Today's students have to be techno-wizards in the way that my generation really didn't have to. I mean, our big leap was from a typewriter to a desktop, and that seemed seismic at the time. But the technology is just table stakes. It's vision and mission that will still be the engine of success for students in their career. And in my experience, editors and writers and journalists want to shine a light on some injustice or heartbreak and give people information that they need to make positive changes in the world. I had another teacher early in my education too, at my Catholic all-girl high school, so Sister Pamela, wherever you are, who told me one day that talent is a responsibility. And it took me decades, literally, to understand what she was talking about, that talent is responsibility. You know, students who graduate from Penn State today, no doubt have talent, but what are their responsibilities? That's the question that's on my mind today. A unique one, I think, is to carry on proudly and fiercely in the face of American media being under attack, being called fake news, enemy of the people, the failing, fill in the blank place, and so on. That should shock and alarm all journalists and all educators of journalists and all citizens, regardless of political affiliation. The Fourth Estate, as I know this room knows and agrees with, keeps our elected officials accountable, it keeps our democracy healthy, it keeps the American people informed and our way of life vital. So doing our jobs especially well now and appreciating the history of journalistic contributions to American society is more critical than ever, especially because so many of the old financial models have collapsed. And journalism is literally now, in a lot of forms, a charity, supported by grants and contributions from individuals, like those of us in this room who care about the work that we do. Consumer Reports is one of those operations, and among our nonprofit brethren are places like ProPublica, the Center for Investigative Reporting /Reveal, the Marshall Project, to name just a few. For these to thrive, citizens must appreciate the value of journalistic contributions to a free and just society. We must not be silenced or shamed, and we must be worthy of the trust that readers place in us. I've been extremely inspired by the energy of movements of young people dedicated to stopping gun violence, climate control, and there's a very important role to be played by young journalists in covering these movements deeply, given how much is at stake. So I feel very, very, very cheered when I see the work going on here at Penn State training these future journalists. I also think it's a second wave for women in media, where women's choices don't have to be defined by gender as much as they once were. My career was largely in women's magazines, although now I'm the editor of a dual audience magazine. And women's magazines reached almost every household in the United States of America in their glory days. And they contributed to American social movements in ways we must not forget. As the editor of Ladies' Home Journal, I interviewed 3 presidents, and I said to them, don't think of this as a conversation with me. Think of it as a conversation with 4 million women. And they sat up a little bit straighter in their chairs. It's amazing to me how long it's taken for women's contributions to be recognized and not marginalized. So to female students in particular today, I say, seize your moment, it has arrived. And it's really a very special privilege for me today to be able to spend time with all of you and the students to encourage them in their journeys that they're about to undertake, well prepared and well positioned by Penn State to make a real difference. What they do will affect us all, our democracy, our planet, our very selves. So thank you again for this honor today.